Hello friends, peace be unto you. I am Monty Alexander. Today commemorates my 76th birthday. A young boy, yes, few gray hairs, little beard, you know. But I love life, I love music, I love folks, and this is not a time to be flippant. This is a time to weigh the facts without getting into the facts heavy, you know. I'm a piano guy. Somehow I ended up making music from I was very young, and then as the years went by, one day I was playing, maybe I was a teenager, and somebody said, "Hey, I want you to come and play at my nightclub." And that was like, that was in Jamaica, where I am from, in about, well, I must have been about 14 years old, and I had my first job. I did not plan to be a musician. I did not go to music school. I'm just a guy who was very happy to be in the presence of my elders, especially the music friends that were like, you know, they were wise men, most of them. Some of them weren't always wise with their own personal health, but I was wise to stay away from harmful substances, if you know what I mean. Because when musicians perform and make great music, they get a lot of applause. And when they don't have the applause, it's a problem, you know. So how do they maintain themselves? They play the music, or they go have a drink, or they do terrible drugs and things, and I was blessed not to go into that area. All this is to say, playing the piano is my main source of pleasure. Some people have enjoyed it. Yes, folks, a little gospel song to start us off. Yes, the challenges are there. The young folks are demonstrating, rightfully so. Protests are taking place. I remember 1967-68 when Dr. King's life was taken. And I remember the hard times of the 60s. But here we are, 2020, and some quite horrible things have happened, namely an incident in Minneapolis. So young people are on the move, and we say, right on. And we're dealing with the challenging time right now, and it's a time for being careful about a lot of things. You know, I read books every now and then. One of them is a thing called Bible. You know, Bible, a great book, best book. You know, some folks read other books, but this is a blessed source of information. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, one of the great books of the Old Testament, it talks about a time to plan, a time to harvest, a time to all the time, different times. And this is a time to take care of business. This is a time to take care of business. And I'm Mr. Piano Player saying to you, have hope, look up, and I'm going to say my story all the way from Kingston, Jamaica. Jamaica's a special place. A lot of people that are challenged, yes, but a lot of people are hopeful and prayerful and came a long way from the early days of slavery, like a lot of places in the world. But Jamaica had this version of emancipation, and I grew up in a fairly healthy society. The music was a big part of my happiness. I came across, as many of you have, across a great master of music and important news for the world. His name was Bob Marley, Robert Nesta Marley. And about 20 years ago, I made my first tribute to this great man, Bob Marley. I did an album where I took his songs, Stir It Up. And Stir It Up was well received by the people who appreciate a musician who's from Jamaica, who respected this man greatly. And I was always playing the music, the classic jazz compositions, Duke Ellington, George Gershwin, all those masters, but my own songs as well. But then I said, I need to go back home in my heart, and that was Jamaica. And I went back to the recording studios when I was 14 years old. I used to go make the records with the early musicians before the popular Jamaican music hit the airwaves. And I went back to what's called Tough Gong. Originally it was called Federal Records. And I made this one. I did this one in a studio in New York. But then another 10 years later, I went back and I did Concrete Jungle. So my appreciation for Bob Marley, as for Sam Cooke, as two messengers of these recent years to keep folks thinking about higher priorities, right? So other messengers for me, among others, was Marcus Garvey, who spoke about the important issue of people being respected. Certainly had that movement called Back to Africa, and he ran into challenges with the establishment. So those men, Muhammad Ali, a very wonderful human being, full of inspiration and charisma, but he had his priorities in order. Muhammad Ali. So these people meant a lot to me, as did the great heroes of jazz, Duke Ellington. My number one hero in Jamaica when I saw him was Louis Armstrong. Yes, I saw Satchmo. I snuck out of school to see Louis Armstrong. I went to the theater, the Carib Theater, and that's where I saw all my heroes of music, rhythm and blues artists like Jackie Wilson, Brooke Benton, name it, Frankie Lyman, Sam Cooke. So I recorded these songs, these tunes by Bob Marley, and right now a segue is we're going to play a song that he composed which talks about the world situation right now. It's called So Much Trouble in the World. So that's what's happening right now. Right near where I live, young folks protesting. And it's a time for change, as Sam Cooke said. So now I'm going to play a little tune here let's play a song that Bob wrote. Songs that I love to play. This is one of his compositions. It's called Redemption Song. Talking about being redeemed from the pain and the suffering. And I remember the bass line goes like this. He played it on the guitar and he sang it just himself and his guitar. Bob Marley goes like this. cry. Thank you, Bob Marley. It's a time for crying, time for struggling, but there's a time for healing. I'm sitting here on my piano and I'm looking at friends from recent and earlier times. I'm delighted to look at a picture of one of my heroes, Mr. Belafonte. This is Harry, the doctor, Honorable Harry, who gave us those beautiful songs. Day, Mr. Day, oh, dear delight and me want go home. Day, Mr. Day, Mr. Day, Mr. Day, Mr. Day, Mr. Day, Mr. Day, yeah. Come get them bananas, you know what I mean? So Harry, thank you, Mr. And this man was also a serious messenger of important news. It was Mr. Harry Belafonte who introduced Dr. King to the president at the time and started a ball rolling that took civil rights to another level of respect. I'm here with Mr. Manley, who was a jazz lover, Michael. Michael used to come here to jazz. Not everybody agreed with him, but he did important things. Michael. And I'm looking at a dear friend in my life. We speak a lot on the telephone. Doesn't play that much anymore. His name is Sonny Rollins. He's an island guy like Jamaica. He's from the Virgin Islands. His name is Sonny Rollins, Theodore Rollins. And he made incredible, powerful music. Yes, friends. Now, I'm going to show you my other colleague. Played the guitar like nobody. His own way of playing. Nobody played like him. Ernest Ranglin. Ernest Ranglin. So, this is music stuff I'm talking about, right? So there's Ernest Ranglin. Talk about he could make that guitar walk across the room. That's how mean he was with his guitar. All these other great guitar players, but he was in his own category, is in his own category. Ernest Ranglin. Jamaica. Now, I want to show you my dear mother. There's my mother. Why? Miss May gave birth to this little boy here, June the 6th, 1944, D-Day. My mother, my Aunt Lynn, my Uncle Jim, my Aunt Vi. Sweet people. Uncle Jim looked like Ray Brown. So when I met Ray Brown, I said, man, you look like Uncle Jim. Okay. So a little levity right now to tell you, folks from home. Okay, here's a song that was written and performed by a man I got to know quite well, a beloved member of this community we call Jazz. He was a very popular radio broadcaster and an incredible pianist. He actually spent time in the company of Mr. Art Tatum, hands down the greatest pianist of them all, Art Tatum. He played like 5 people all at the same time. And Billy, who I performed on his television program, 2 pianos, wrote this song. It's called I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free. So this is another song that's kind of like, not so much a protest song, but a song that had to do with there's a better place to go to get higher in the realm of respect and freedom. So it goes like this. song I wrote. It's a little meditation piece. It's called The River, and it represents peace. Peace in our hearts, peace in our intentions. The resolution is peace. However, we gotta have action at the right time. The river. It's the river. The river flows. Thank you very much for listening to that, ladies and gentlemen. I want to tell you now about something I did recently. I'm very pleased I did. And the commemoration of this day, my birthday, day of birth, the release of the vinyl version of an album that was received quite well. This effort of mine to bring Thelonious Monk and some of his songs closer to a part of his incredible history. He grew up in New York City, came from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, but he grew up in New York City from the age of 5, I think. And the neighborhood, the community he grew up in was West Indian folks. This is back in the 40s, 30s rather. And the West Indians, the British West Indians speaking, not so much the Latino, Hispanic countries, but Antigua, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, all the rest of those islands, right? And a lot of the songs he wrote, the compositions had that, I could feel the rhythm of the islands. So I did just that. I made a record that took it deep down into the rhythms of the islands. Thelonious Monk. And this is my Warwicker Hill, where I kind of introduced Monk to Rastafarian culture. And you hear it in the record, and a lot of people have said, when are you going to put out the vinyl? Well, here's vinyl. V-Y-N-I-L or V-I-N-Y-L.
There's a time for Vinyl, a time for...
A time for... I just got a message from Miss Katerina. Said there's a time for vinyl. Okay, so here's vinyl. It's available and kind of nice. I like this record because the heart and the soul were in it. You know, played some of his compositions. I'll put this down here now. And as I said, I did these recordings of Bob Marley's music. I'm very pleased I did. I've been happy to be considered a jazz artist playing in the company of Milt Jackson. I had a picture of Milt Jackson here. I'm playing with Milt. This is Milt Jackson and Ray Brown, the man my uncle looked like him. And there's Grady Tate on drums. There's Monty Alexander playing. And we were somewhere in Holland back in the late 70s. And yes, so that was that. And what was I going to say just now? Forgot. It's a part of the word. One tends to forget. But indeed, I something also to share with you. There's an incredible television cable channel that keeps alive the history, the legacy of the greatest films that were made in Hollywood and other places around the world. The channel is called Turner Classic Movies, TCM. And recently, I was contacted and invited to be a part of a series called Jazz and Film. Film meaning movies. We in Jamaica, we never said movies or films. We said, gone to pictures. Pictures was our way of defining movies. So, Monty Alexander talking with a dear guy who's invited me, my friend, his name is Eddie Muller. And Eddie does this program of film noir, the great movies of yesterday. Humphrey Bogart, Cary Grant, Clark Gable, all these heavies from the 40s and the 50s. And we're going to be talking on June the 8th on TCM and June the 15th. And I believe they've invited some very excellent luminaries of what we know as the jazz world, among them Wynton Marsalis and other great artists. So I'm honored to receive that invitation. So tune in on that one. I think you'll enjoy it. Talking about some wonderful films that include, I won't go into it now. You tune in June the 8th and June the 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now I've said a lot about this and about that. And now, because of TCM, I'm going to take a moment and play a track for you. This is specifically inspired by TCM, who continues to play one of the classic films. That was a Humphrey Bogart movie. It was called Casablanca, where the pianist is playing among songs, many songs. He's playing a song called As Time Goes By, which is incredible. And somebody sitting here had the balderdashers, we used to say, the gall to do what you're going to hear now. We're going to play it for you if Miss Katerina has it rigged up. It's Monty Alexander and a friend of mine from Cuba. His name is Arturo Sandoval, the great trumpeter. He plays every note is a jewel and a treasure. And there's Monty doing something I hardly ever did called SING.
And we'll put it online soon.
Oh, it's going to be online, and I have actually made a whole album of songs like this that most ages would appreciate. And I've heard, play this music. So here's As Time Goes By. Time.
Remember this, a kiss is still a kiss, a sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by.
Time going by, we're going to take care of business, folks, right? Look up.
And when two lovers move, they still say, I love you. On that you can rely. No matter what the future brings, as time goes by. Moonlight and love songs, never out of date. Hearts full of passion, have is made that no one can deny. It's still the same old
I want to hear me some Arturo. Keep it playing.
for love and glory.
Yes, I did this a few years back. Before I was visited by a friend named pancreatic cancer. It came my way, and through the grace of the Lord, I was healed, and that's why I can celebrate a little differently, more meaningfully than before.
8 years later.
It was 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow, how about that? Listen to the trumpet. Talk about melody, baby. Bass, up a little.
Moonlight and love songs,
TCM,
never out of
June the
date.
8th, June the 15th.
Hearts full of passion.
This and more. We hope you will check us out on that incredible channel, keeping the good thing alive, as the jazz stations are keeping the great classic music that brought people like me to it, the great heroes of the music, the masters, you know. I mean, the masters of today, yes, but the masters I'm talking about, they kind of left here. It was a sad loss that when Milt Jackson departed and went ahead, and when Ben Webster went ahead, and Johnny Hodges went ahead, and Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong and Miles went, and sad time. So, you know, I've been talking a long time on these programs, and I'm going to try to talk less, because after a while people say, Monty, shut your mouth, go away, mama look a boo boo day.
Nobody
So
said that.
no, didn't you tell me?
No.
You told me. Okay. All right, love, folks, like Bob Marley say, take care of business. All the
Bye.
best.